Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Meet the Professors series, a unique initiative that allows high school students to engage with Ashoka's stellar faculty. Here's your chance to join a conversation with your favorite Ashoka faculty and discuss the majors and minors, or learn about their innovative work, research projects, teaching pedagogy, or any other aspects of the undergraduate program at Ashoka University. Thank you for joining us for today's session on economics at Ashoka. I'm Dhrupad, an ASP student at Ashoka University. I majored in economics and finance, and I'm currently completing my minor in computer science. Joining us today are Professor Anisha Sharma, Assistant Professor of Economics at Ashoka University. Professor Sharma has completed her doctorate in economics from the University of Oxford. Her research interests are in the area of development economics, labor economics, firms, and public policy. We also have Professor Sabyasachi Das, Assistant Professor of Economics at Ashoka University. He has received his PhD in economics at Yale University. For his research, he is primarily interested in exploring group inequalities that emerge from various democratic processes. Here is how we'll be taking today's session forward. Both professors will share an insight into the economics program offered at Ashoka. This will be followed by general questions, post which we will break into breakout rooms where you may interact with the professors. Without further ado, let's get started. Over to you, professors.
Great, thank you very much, Dhrupad. It's great to be here, and thank you for joining us. I'm going to talk a little bit about the department at Ashoka, the economics department, the students, the course that we have, our faculty members, and we're going to have a conversation, Sabya and me, about different parts of the program that we think you might be interested in learning more about. And we'll be very happy to take your questions after this. So the Ashoka, as you know, isn't that old. It was set up in 2014. That's when we took our first undergraduates in. And I believe we had an initial starting batch of about 30 students in economics. I joined Ashoka in 2016, by which time this initial batch was already in its final year. And I taught some of those students an elective in finance. So in addition to a major in economics, we also offer an interdisciplinary major in economics and finance. And my class then had 5 students. So we had 5 students who majored in economics and finance that year. Today, I believe our head of department was telling us recently that of the first years who joined Ashoka last year, something like 250 students are interested in studying economics, and maybe about a third of that would be interested in doing economics and finance. So Ashoka has grown a lot. And the economics department in particular has really grown as well. Our students come from all over the country. We have a lot of students on financial aid, including some students with 100% financial aid who've done really well. We also have students from all over the world, some Indian students who've grown up in, say, the Middle East or other parts of the world, some international students from East Africa. So we have a pretty vibrant student body here. In terms of faculty, let me just quickly share my screen. I hope you can see that. In terms of faculty, we started out in 2014 with a single person, a single head of department, Bhaskar Datta, who is thankfully still at Ashoka, and one other permanent faculty member. And today, I think we've grown to about 26 permanent faculty members. In addition to that, we have a number of visiting faculty members who join us to teach courses where we seek external expertise. So for example, courses in environmental economics or courses in machine learning. But our own permanent faculty has really expanded quite substantially in the last 8 years. I just will say a little bit about what I think makes our program different from other programs in India, and then I'll throw this over to Sabya. I think there are 2 things that really make Ashoka's econ department stand out. One is that the entire faculty is very research focused, right? All of us have studied quite a lot of economics around the world. We have people who have their PhDs from top institutes in India, in Europe, and in the US. And we are very research focused, and we like to talk about our research with our students. So we expose a lot of our students in our undergraduate classrooms to the kind of work that is cutting edge in our subfield, to our own research. And where we get the opportunity, we are also able to advise students in their research paths. We hire students as research assistants to help us with our projects. We use students to collect data for us. We help use students, in experiments that we run in our experimental lab, which is also a part of Ashoka. So we really like to involve students in the research that we do. I think the second thing that makes us stand out is our focus on teaching data analytical tools to students. If there's one thing that I think makes an economist stand out today, it is the ability of almost all of them to do a pretty sophisticated level of data analysis using different kinds of software. We're in a position where we are able to give students at Ashoka that opportunity to learn software, to learn coding, and to analyze data for themselves. So I think these are two ways in which we stand out just a little bit. Sabya, do you want to talk a little bit about the econ program, the undergraduate program?
Sure. Yeah, let me say a little bit about the various econ programs that we have. So the primary primary program in undergraduate is the econ major, and in economics major is structured starting with some very basic courses. So say introduction to economics and mathematics for economists, followed by a set of core courses. So courses in microeconomic theory, macroeconomic theory, statistics, and econometrics. These core courses help the student learn the core tools that we as economists use to understand and analyze more evolved questions that we may be interested in pursuing. So this is sort of followed by a core course in development economics. This gives us a broad understanding of the issues developing countries such as India faces, and how we can think about these issues both conceptually as well as use the analytical tools that the students would have learned through the core courses, and apply those tools to try to examine these issues on their own using real world data. So once these set of core courses come to an end, by the third year, the students get to choose elective courses depending on their preferences and interests. So every semester we offer a varied range of elective courses. Some of these are mentioned here. So for example, monetary theory, international trade, economics of gender, labor economics, political economy, machine learning for economics, etc. So students sort of pick and choose based on their interests, and each of these elective courses, students get exposed to research papers, new conceptual tools, and sort of the frontiers of knowledge that the discipline has to offer with regard to this specific subfield. And the idea is that by the time the student sort of finishes taking up these specific specialized courses, they'll have a fair idea in terms of where the knowledge frontier stands, and how one can contribute towards expanding that knowledge frontier. And as Anisha has already mentioned, one of the sort of unique features of Ashoka is integrating the faculty's intense research profile into their pedagogy. So as we teach these courses, we also expose the students to various research methods that we ourselves use to understand and ask research questions. And we help the students also sort of go through the various processes of how to conduct research through either term papers or trying to say replicate some existing paper using the dataset that's publicly available, and so on and so forth. I, for example, offer an elective course in political economy, and as part of this course, I ask students to generate their own data regarding existing politicians in India. So, for example, in a pre-COVID world, I requested the students to spend a week with their local politicians from where they come from, and write an essay based on their responsibilities and the kind of work that they do, these politicians, and then fill out a data sheet. And collectively, they generated a data sheet on which they analyzed and produced further analysis reports. So this is the kind of exercise that helps them not only understand these concepts from a sort of a classroom point of view, but also see these concepts being applied in a real life context. This is sort of just a brief exposure into the kind of pedagogy that we practice at Ashoka with regard to these elective courses. And those who are further interested in pursuing economics and sort of gets their hand dirty in terms of research, they can do a capstone thesis, which is sort of a part of a Ashoka Scholars Program, which is sort of a 4th-year program for the students who would like to stay and do a research project. So basically, these students typically find an advisor in the faculty who's willing to advise them on a very specific research question, and they spend an entire year partly trying to collect their own data and analyzing them and writing a thesis based on the research question that they set out to pursue. In my experience, these capstone thesis projects are extremely beneficial, not just to the students, they are very enlightening for us as well. When I joined Ashoka in 2017, I, for the first time, attended this session where the students were presenting their capstone thesis projects, and I was very pleasantly surprised by the quality of work that they were producing. This slide, for example, mentions some of the work that our previous ASP students have produced. So, for example, and it sort of varies quite a bit across students. So macroeconomic issues such as related to agglomeration effects and growth, to issues related to gender, political economy, more recently on COVID and manufacturing services sectors in India, etc. So you can see the varied interest being reflected in the set of thesis projects that the students take up. So this is sort of give you a brief exposure to the sort of the sequence of knowledge consumption as well as production in the life of a typical Ashoka student pursuing the econ program. So maybe Anisha, you can talk a little bit about more extracurricular activities that students also partake in.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Abhya. Just before that, just a couple of words on research. I mean, as I'm sure many of you will know, we do offer a 4th year at Ashoka. Because our current undergraduate degree is currently 3 years long. And in the 4th year, students can do a number of different things, right? They can complete a minor, they can collect enough credits to do the equivalent of a 2nd major. They can just do a kind of random selection of courses that they'd like to study. And they can also do the advanced major, which is what Sabya just described, where they do a bunch of additional courses in economics. They complete this year-long thesis at a fairly high level. And so forth. But in addition to that, we also offer lots of kind of smaller research opportunities for students who don't want to engage in the kind of entire 4th year thesis. I'll give you an example from my own work. It was actually quite kind of fortunate. I was running a project on trying to figure out how students decide what courses to study at the undergraduate level. How do students decide whether to do economics or physics and so on and so forth. And in particular, I was interested in looking at gender differences in how students choose, right? We've all heard a lot, I'm sure, about the gender gap in STEM enrollment. So a lot of female students tend to enroll in the humanities and social sciences, and less so in science and in economics. So I actually came across a center at Ashoka called the Center of Gender and Sexuality. This has actually nothing to do with the economics department. The founding faculty member of that center is in the English department. But they ran a summer program where they would pay for Ashoka students to do work on gender in any field. And I happened to hear about this program that they were running, and I ended up recruiting 4 students, economic students, to help me run a survey of undergraduate students at Ashoka and among alumni, implement the survey, make phone calls, design a survey, clean the data that we collected, and in the end, write a paper about how students choose what courses that they want to study. So that was a great experience for me personally. I managed to hire some really great RAs from among our own undergraduate student pool. And I hope it was a good experience for the students as well. They got to collect data, run surveys, do some field work for the first time and get an exposure into that. Just another word on the capstone thesis. So one of these thesis papers that's there was by a student of mine. She's a great student, and the two of us were able to work that capstone thesis into a paper that we will hopefully get to publish sometime this year. And that's reasonably unusual for undergraduate students to be able to publish papers. She's a great student. She's currently doing the MPhil in economics at Oxford. But hopefully we will have many, many more students and examples like this along the way, where students are able to generate original research that does not just remain within the Ashoka ecosystem, but that reaches other parts of the world as well. In addition to research and kind of classroom experiences, we also have a lot of opportunities for engagement outside the classroom. And these are all student-led. So I'm going to actually throw over to our student moderators here, Dhrupad and Garvit, to tell us a little bit about some of these opportunities.
I have been a part of the Ashoka University Economic Society and the Economic Review for quite some time now. Just to give you an insight as to what these two specifically do, the Economic Society essentially tries to take economics and the learnings beyond the classroom. The Economic Society sort of, for example, does things like host webinars on various topical subjects. This year, the webinars have been based on what a post-COVID economy for India would look like. There are various topics. For example, there's been a lot of global discussion on the Fed raising interest rates and what its impact would be, especially on developing nations such as India. So we have a lot of eminent faculty from not just Ashoka, but from across the world that come in and speak to the students. The Economic Society also does work such as hold various competitions for the students within Ashoka. They also hold intercollegiate competitions so that you can take your experience within the classroom, apply it, and then sort of extend that to the real world. For the Economic Review, I'm sure as the name suggests, it's Ashoka's student-run peer-reviewed economics journal. Students, not just Ashoka, but across the country, get to submit their research work, and the students at Ashoka who decide to be a part of this society work on the review, go through the papers, edit them, and then publish them as well. This is a fairly recent club, and it's only come into existence about 6 to 8 months ago, and the first issue has just been published. I think Garvit can take up the rest of the clubs.
So Ashoka Business Club, Ashoka Investments, and Ashoka Consulting, they are some of the premier pre-professional clubs at Ashoka. Investments and consulting consulting club I've led in the past, investments club I've been a member of, and business club also I'm leading a vertical. So all these clubs prepare you for the corporate world, for working in a startup, for actually working in the professional environment, along with the skill building sessions that we conduct. There are plenty number of experts, some of the marquee investors at Ashoka, marquee investors in the actual world. And there is a lot of founder connect, especially with this club, because Ashoka has a lot of big names in the industry as founder. For example, with the investments club, we recently hosted Rajesh Jhunjhunwala, we have hosted Sanjeev Bikhchandani, we have hosted Ashish Dhawan. And so these are some of the names that we host on a regular basis. So these kind of clubs really prepare you for life outside of academia, to delve into a corporate role, to delve into a professional role, and really equip you with all the soft skills and the technical skills you would require to succeed in the same.
Thank you so much, Garvit. Savya, maybe you want to talk a little bit about CEDA?
Yeah, sure. So as Anisha already mentioned, that there are opportunities for students to work as research associate in individual research projects run by faculty members, to help them sort of get a sense of how research is conducted. But there is now an alternate opportunity to sort of get this experience in a much more institutional and regularized way, which is through this new center that has been set up within the economics department, known as the Center for Economic Data and Analysis, or CEDA in short. You can actually visit the website and see the kind of content that CEDA has been producing. The goal of this center is to make data easily communicable and understandable to the general public. So the idea is to produce data in a way that people can sort of see, visualize, and read and get meaning out of it. So we produce this sort of we present data in various formats. So our content ranges from, say, writing essays about very specific social issues, policy issues, etc., to presenting very meaningful and easy to understand graphs or charts, and some combinations of these two. Sometimes faculty members who write research papers on relevant policy issues also write a summary of their research insights in the form of essays. On top of that, there is also a data portal. As you can see, this top portion, there is a navigation tool. You can sign up and get access to various kinds of publicly available data sets, and it's sort of an user-driven platform to generate visualizations of various kinds. So heat maps of the country based on various socioeconomic indicators, trends, bar graphs, and so on and so forth. Now, this kind of regular content creation requires a lot of back-end work, and that's where the undergrad students come in. So we regularly request undergraduate students to help us prepare the background material to produce this front-end website that you see, and the kind of services that it provides to the users. So basically, we hire students both during the summer break as well as during winter, and the students who can give time throughout the academic year as well, to help us prepare and compile the necessary data sets for both the data portal as well as the various graphs and charts that you see in various of the written content that is available. So that's sort of, it's an excellent opportunity for students who want to understand how to handle data sets and how to sort of mold data sets in a way that gives us a lot of insight. This is sort of a great opportunity for students to explore.
Great, thank you so much, Sabya. Drupad, I think that's about it from us. I think we're out of time in terms of our discussion. Do you want to take over from here?
Yeah, I think we can move into the question and answer session. There's been quite a few questions coming in from the students. The first one is, I have physics, chemistry, and maths in 12th and economics till 10th standard. In the UG first year, will it be comfortable to understand economics even though I have not studied it for 2 years? Do students need to study economics in 11th and 12th to be able to major at economics in Ashoka? And are there any other prerequisites?
Okay, I can take that. No, you absolutely do not need to have ever studied economics before in order to study economics at the undergraduate level at Ashoka. For that matter, we even have a master's program in Ashoka, and we do not require students who enter the master's program to even have an undergraduate degree in economics. Our approach to teaching economics at whichever level is very much that we will start from scratch. And if you have basic mathematical skills, which means that you've done maths up to class 11 and 12, you will be able to learn economics without ever having seen it before, right? We require maths because most of the work that we do, the models that we build, are quantitative in nature. So we do need a basic level of maths. That's the only prerequisite. There's no grade requirement as such, but you need to have completed maths at the class 12 level, but you don't need to have studied economics.
I think I'll just add on a little bit to that. I am a student who did not study economics in 11th and 12th, majored in economics and finance, and the learning curve is tailored such that a person with zero economics knowledge can then come out and perform academically extremely well throughout the progression of courses in their first, second, and third year. So there's absolutely nothing to worry about if you haven't studied economics earlier. Just heading to the second question, is it possible to do a double major in economics and another subject?
I think so. But basically what you have to do is meet the course requirements for the other discipline as well, in addition to the course requirement to major in economics in order to get the double major. So basically you have to complete a larger number of courses during the same time.
Yeah, I would just add that it's quite difficult to do that in practice in 3 years. It is possible to do interdisciplinary majors. So those are majors that are organized with a slightly lower course requirement than a double major. So it is possible to complete the interdisciplinary major in 3 years, as indeed Drupad has done. Finishing a double major in 3 years is difficult, but a lot of students will stay on for the 4th year to finish courses that are equivalent to the double major. You don't get a second degree because we can only give degrees that are completed in a 3-year span, but you'll have a transcript that will show that the courses that you have done are equivalent to completing 2 majors, and that'll be on your CV, it'll be on your transcript. It'll be evident to whoever you want to show it to that is indeed what you have done.
The next question is the 4th year mandatory? What is the value in pursuing the 4th year? And can I convert an economics minor into a major in the 4th year?
So the 4th year is not mandatory. You can graduate after 3 years with your degree in economics. The 4th year is an opportunity for students to extend their learning. The kind of the logic behind the Ashoka model of pedagogy was to allow students to complete not just a major in their chosen field, but also to complete a wider range of subjects in other fields, including introductory courses in different fields, including possibly completing minors, interdisciplinary majors, and so on. So the 4th year is really an opportunity for students to have a well-rounded appreciation of different subjects and not just their chosen field. It's not mandatory. Students who want to really specialize in economics do the 4th year, because it allows them to take on extra subjects. It allows them to do original research. This can be hard to squeeze into 3 years. And so the 4th year becomes very useful for students who are particularly interested in economics to pursue that. Can you do a major in your 4th year if you've done a minor in the first 3 years? I mean, again, the major will not be an official one, right? The UGC mandates us to give majors that are completed in 3 years. And in the 4th year, you basically collect credits that then appear on your transcript. So you could maybe do the equivalent of a major if you do enough credits. I'm not sure if the math works out, but you won't get a degree, an economics degree in your 4th year. You'll only get that after 3 years. Drupad, you can add something to that since you're a 4th year student.
Yeah, so again, you have to understand the math behind it. Of course, if you've completed your minor within your 3rd year, it will be fairly easy to complete your 2nd major equivalent because of the course requirements. However, starting and then completing your 2nd major equivalent in your 4th year becomes extremely difficult because we require a certain progression in economics so that your fundamentals keep getting stronger and we build upon that. So starting it and finishing it within the 4th year can be a little bit difficult. But if you've completed the minor within 3 years, you can, of course, complete your 2nd major equivalent in your 4th year. I'll just read out the next question. In comparison to undergraduate courses like BBA and BCom, how does BSc in Economics and Finance stand out? And what job opportunities will I be looking at after completing this course?
So my sense is that bachelor's in economics and finance gives you a much more sort of a fundamental training in the tools, conceptual tools, as well as data analytical tools in pursuing the field professionally going forward, which is sort of different from a bachelor's in business administration, because that's sort of a course that is designed towards a much more applied orientation. For students who wish to learn the more sort of fundamental aspects of these disciplines, they will sort of get that training in the economics and finance discipline. In terms of the jobs opportunities, I'm not clear whether the set of jobs that econ and finance students at Ashoka get, how they differ from sort of a BBA, standard BBA graduate students. I don't know if Drupad would know about these things.
I can add to that.
Yeah.
I think, firstly, a program of economics and finance combines the foundational understanding of economics with the applied aspects of finance. So based on my personal experience and that of my peers, students from economics and finance have gone on to do some of the best jobs in investments, as well as consulting, startups, venture capital. So that's the kind of field that usually attracts economics and finance majors. And I think how it differentiates from a standard BA degree is that there's a lot more focus on the academic aspect of economics, as well as giving you practical tools to get yourself trained in finance as well. So the kind of jobs that you get are very much suited based on the learnings you get through the 3 years of economics and finance.
Yeah, so can I just add one thing to that? So the interdisciplinary major in economics and finance requires you to complete all the credit requirements for a major in economics. Okay, and that's just not true for BBA and BCom. So you have an undergraduate major in economics, plus you do 4 extra finance courses. That's how the degree is structured. So you have as much learning and as much exposure to economics as any other student who has a major in economics. So think of it as an addition to an undergraduate degree in economics, not as an alternative to a BBA or a BCom.
The next question is, can undergraduate students take up research projects at the UG level? Can students get experience doing field research, experiments, or data collection at Ashoka? And can individuals publish papers and assistant research papers within their first year?
First year might be a bit difficult because in most first year Ashoka students take up foundation courses across various disciplines, trying to get a sense of what various disciplines has to offer, and only in the sort of second year onwards they get to pick core courses in the specific discipline that they wish to major in. But in terms of opportunities for research, I think there is plenty, as Anisha has already mentioned, that for example, if you want to help individual faculty in doing some kind of research assistantship position, so trying to compile a data set or trying to do some basic analysis on an already compiled data set, etc. So in various ways you can help the professor in doing this, which sort of gives you a sense of how to do research. And by the time you start taking elective courses, you get a sense of how one can ask research question on their own and try to answer them. And given the sort of structure that we have in terms of the Ashoka Scholars Program, the capstone thesis in the 4th year, you can indeed pursue your own research project there as part of the curriculum designed. As Drupad has already mentioned, the economics students have now started their own student-run econ journal, which accepts research papers written by undergraduate students all over the country. And they have just issued their first journal volume, and so now there is actually an avenue to publish well worked out research projects within Ashoka as well. And I'm sure there are other undergraduate economics research journals run by undergraduate students around the world. So definitely, it's definitely possible for students to write their own research papers and even publish them.
I'll just add on a little bit to that. Our faculty is fantastic, and the work that they do is fantastic. And throughout the year, various faculty members also receive invitations from certain journals that are forwarded to the students. So it's not as though you have a specific time frame to write it. You can work on your research projects as and when you deem fit, as the opportunities to publish are very, very extensive. So just to sort of add to that. The next question is, what are some book recommendations for understanding the basics of economics? As a student looking to study economics at Ashoka, what current affairs would you expect a student to be well versed with?
I don't think we expect students to have any existing knowledge of anything. You don't need to know any facts about the economy or the world around you in order to be good at economics. I think you need to be intellectually curious, keen to learn more, motivated to come to class, to read widely, to talk to as many faculty members and peers in your own department and other departments, and you learn a lot. I don't think, certainly speaking as a faculty member, I certainly don't expect students to, have a lot of information or knowledge in advance of joining Ashoka. How about you? What do you think, Sabya?
Yeah, so I think, what makes somebody better student of economics than others is their general curiosity and interest in social and economic phenomena around the world. So basically, just sort of repeating what Anisha said, that you should be curious about things happening around you, and you should, as long as you have that curiosity and want to understand the reasons behind why things are the way they are, economics will help you give one specific way to understand them. So basically, economics is part of a social science. So there are other ways to look at similar sort of social phenomena, and economics give you one specific framework to look at it. So that's sort of one way to think about economics.
Another question is a very common one. Does Ashoka offer a BA Economics or a BSc Economics degree?
I think it is a BA in economics, but I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, I second that. Look, it doesn't matter at all. This is what the UGC gives the university permission to give, to grant. It's a BA degree. I can promise you, speaking as someone who looks at master's applications and whatever little knowledge or exposure I have to people who are hiring for jobs, the name of the degree is not critical in terms of deciding, the quality of a student. Understanding what exactly you've learned and how you're able to demonstrate those skills, that's what's important. And so we are a reasonably quantitatively focused degree, similar to many undergraduate programs in India. And I think that's the big takeaway. Learn skills and don't focus so much on the name of the degree.
I think the next question ties in very well with that. The question is, what are the different statistical tools one will learn in the UG program?
Okay, so we have a course in econometrics. That's a core course. So our core courses in our second year there's a two semester sequence starting with statistics and followed up by econometrics that all students of economics have to take. In the third year, there is an opportunity to learn a lot more in terms of specific methods. There are specific methods-driven courses such as advanced econometrics, which go a bit further. We have some electives, when we have visiting faculty who will teach machine learning techniques. We have that this semester. We have some courses that are cross-listed with other departments in the computer science department, for example, where you can learn more techniques and more methods. And apart from that, all of these applied courses, these elective courses that Sabia talked about that we offer, for instance, his political economy course or my labor economics course, a lot of these courses involve some component of doing data analysis as an output. So you'll be asked to do a project, maybe in pairs or maybe by yourself, where you go and collect some data, you download some data, you come up with a research question, and you try and answer that using data. So that's a lot of hands-on work in econometric techniques, some of which can be fairly advanced and go beyond what you learn in your second year. And there are plenty of opportunities for that because I would say most of our faculty work in applied economics, which is to say they use data to answer these questions. And a lot of your elective coursework will be related to that.
The next question is, what are the benefits of doing a BA Econ versus a PPE degree? Can you tell us a little bit about the PPE program?
Okay, let me take that question. The PPE program is from its name, it's a structured program that allows you to do different numbers of courses across philosophy, political science, and economics. This was a degree that was kind of popularized by Oxford, the idea being that this kind of gave you a well-rounded set of skills or tools with which to understand social, political, and economic phenomenon around you. And you can structure the PPE however you want. You can make it intensive in economics, but you can also do a small number of econ courses and make it intensive in political science or in philosophy, depending on your interests. I would say the economics major is of course, it's entirely economics focused. And so it's much more extensive in terms of what we cover in economics. And because, it involves six electives that you do in your third year, it really allows you to delve into multiple subthemes of the subject, depending on what you're interested in. The PPE won't give you the space to do that because you have to do these other sets of subjects as sets of courses as well. So it depends on what you'd like to study. If you want a kind of an interdisciplinary approach, if you want to study all three courses, then that's the thing you should go for. If you're really, you're interested in economics, you want to focus on economics, that major is what you go for. Of course, the nice thing is at Ashoka, you don't need to decide right now. You can come to Ashoka and then decide which route you want to take. Maybe you want to do a major in political science after you realize that this is really interesting and really fun, and so on. So you can take that call once you're already at Ashoka in your end of your first year or early in your second year.
Let's take one more question. What kind of international exchange programs does Ashoka offer? What are some of the international universities that Ashoka is tied to? Also, what are the internship opportunities for economics undergraduate students?
I mean, so Drupad, would you know about these exchange programs that Ashoka has with other universities? I won't be able to say much.
So a lot of this is tied. I think some of the few programs that Ashoka is tied to is in HEC Paris as well as with King's College London. So you can have an exchange semester there where you have the opportunity to go and study the courses you like or the courses in your major as well along these universities. However, you must get the department's approval before doing that. In terms of, there are of course other universities that also offer exchange programs, and Ashoka does not stop you from taking these exchange programs as long as both your department and the other university are amenable to this. In terms of internship opportunities, I think Ashoka's career development office does a fantastic job of bringing opportunities all year round across various fields. I think Garvit can also add to this.
Yeah, so I think one thing that is important to note is that Ashoka has a dedicated program called the GESP that supervises all kind of international interactions, where you have students coming from abroad to Ashoka as well as students going from Ashoka to abroad. People have gone to institutions like Science Po or HEC Paris, LSE, UPenn as well. As far as the internships are concerned, Ashoka has a great track record when it comes to internships as well as placements. And personally, I've been able to intern at some of the best places that any undergraduate student can aspire for. And yeah, I'm truly grateful to Ashoka for the kind of opportunity that it has been able to provide to me.
All right, so I think now we'll give the closing note before moving on to the breakout rooms. So thank you everyone for joining us for another session of Meet the Professors. We'll now be moving into the breakout rooms. To join a breakout room, just click on the icon at the bottom of your screen. You can see what's mentioned there on the screen. And you can choose the room you'd like to enter. Please also take a minute to share your feedback with us, and the link to the feedback form is provided in the chat box. Also note that the recording of this session will be available on Ashoka's YouTube channel in case you want to share it with your friends. The next session of Meet the Professors Sciences at Ashoka is scheduled for Tuesday, 15th February 2022 at 6 p.m. and the link for registration for this is in the chat box. Before we move to the breakout rooms, I would once again like to remind our audience that the round 3 undergraduate applications to Ashoka University are open and you can apply without your 12th board marks to secure an admission. The link to the application form is also in the chat box. And if you have any further queries, you can also write to us at ugapply@ashoka.edu.in. The email address is on your screen. See you guys in the breakout room.
Drupad, I think you might have to create the breakout room.
Yeah, I think that's happening right now.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
Which ones should I? Okay, got it.